Welcome back, everyone. The South Island of New Zealand is truly a bucket list destination, and if you're coming specifically to spend your time in its glorious nature, outdoors, and enjoying all of the incredible sights it has to offer, the most efficient, cost-effective, and flexible way to explore this incredible country is to rent a small SUV or a small hybrid and bring your own accommodations, aka a tent. So why is this the best option, especially when considering how popular camper vans and motorhomes are, planes, trains, other automobiles? Why choose this option? Well, that is precisely what we're here to chat about. So let's dive right in. Having your own vehicle to go when and where you want is definitely the way to go. It's going to really free up your ability to do all kinds of wonderful things, and especially because New Zealand is as rainy as it is. It's going to make it possible for you to time weather events, especially in a country where said weather fluctuates constantly, and you're going to have to kind of plan around that, maybe have an extra flex day here and there in order to get to the destinations you want to get to with the weather patterns that you are hoping to see at said destinations. So that's mostly a given. Let's talk first things first about cost. Cost can be broken down into a number of different categories. The first one being the actual rental itself. Now, renting a smaller car is going to cost significantly less right out of the gate. Of course, when you're renting a camper van or a full-sized motorhome, the prices are going to skyrocket as a result. A small car can be anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000 for a full 2-week period. The moment you move up to a self-contained camper van, that can be in the $3,000 to $4,000 range. Already, you're seeing a 4x increase in price right there. And if you're looking at a proper sized motorhome, well, the sky's the limit. But generally for a 2-week period, you can see prices in the $7,000 to $8,000 plus range. So that is already a sizable amount you have to consider for your trip. Now, number 2 is going to be extra insurance. Insurance is obviously going to be mandatory, especially if you're going into a country where you're driving on the left side of the road. You might not be comfortable driving in the first place. The roads in New Zealand can be rather narrow, and they can also come down to a crawl when you reach one of those one-lane bridges. More on that a little bit later. But if you plan on depending on your insurance policies in particular, a lot of the rental companies in New Zealand are going to expect that you put down a deposit. And that deposit generally can be quite a hefty sum in and of itself. Even for a small vehicle, it can be $3,000 plus. And of course, if you're going up to a very large motorhome, who knows how much that deposit can be. And as I just mentioned, given the driving conditions, if you put a scratch in that car, if you get into an accident, you can basically kiss that money goodbye. So it's just another thing to consider. Now, a lot of these companies do offer headache-free insurance options. Just make sure to read the fine print. Those can generally be rather pricey, but they generally do not exceed the cost that they would otherwise have you put down as a deposit. So that's kind of the offset you should consider. Number 3 is going to be gas. Now, we all know New Zealand is an island nation, and as a result, it's going to be importing a lot of its energy, which means at the gas pump, we're going to be paying on average $3 per liter on the South Island. For my American friends out there, that's about $12 per gallon. That is insane. Now, that is New Zealand dollars. So for you Americans out there, you're going to be getting a 40% discount just by the very virtue of how strong the dollar happens to be at this moment. But even so, it's going to be more expensive than in most of the United States. If you consider that discount, you're still going to be paying around $7 to $8 per gallon, which is a lot, especially when you're considering how much driving you're going to be doing in a 2-week period. So again, if you get a small hybrid, if you get a small SUV, your costs are going to be significantly reduced because you're not driving a massive truck that you have to fill up, every X amount of miles. And you will generally be driving at least 2,000 miles in your 2-week journey if you want to explore the vast majority of the South Island. So that cost is really going to add up. Now, the other consideration as far as cost is concerned is the pitfall that comes with freedom camping. When people look at motorhomes or they look at camper vans, they generally see that word floating around. Freedom camping, it means you can pull over your vehicle anywhere and sleep for free. Surely we're going to be saving a lot of money by freedom camping. Now, there is a slight consideration there as well. You're only able to freedom camp if your vehicle is certified self-contained, which means it comes built in with a toilet. Of course, you are not able to contaminate the environment in New Zealand. They're very picky about that. And can you really blame them? Their environment, their nature is pristine, and they would like to keep it that way. And so does everybody else. It is absolutely gorgeous. Now, here is where the word pitfall comes in. Freedom camping generally, again, does mean that you can pull over and sleep during the night or during the day, whenever you like, for free, but those locations can often be very far out of the way. And as a result, all of the paid campgrounds, which are right at the edge of the very attraction that you might be interested in, they can be on the side of a lake that you want to spend some time exploring. Those paid campgrounds are going to offer you a lot more value. So if you have to drive an extra hour to get to a freedom camping spot versus paying between $20 and $90 per night for one of the fantastic campsites that are available all around, again, the South Island of New Zealand, most of the time you're going to go with the paid option anyways. For 20 bucks, 30 bucks, that's kind of the general price range for the vast majority of these campsites. You're going to get a full suite of everything that you might want, fully staffed kitchens, fully stocked kitchens, I should say. You have complete shower facilities with running hot water and everything else that you might want. And you have power hookups if you are in fact getting one of those fancy motorhomes or the camper vans that have that system built in. So for that price, most people are going to go with the paid camping option anyway. And if that's the case, why not just bring your tent instead? If you're bringing your tent, you're saving thousands of dollars on that motorhome rental, and you're probably going to get a better sleep than being cramped on a 20-year-old sofa bed in a 20-year-old van, because it's your own equipment suited to your comfort levels, and you can really stretch out and get a proper night's sleep. Now, with a tent setup, you also have the option to wilderness camp, not to be confused with freedom camping. Wilderness camping essentially means that you can spend the night out in the woods, if you will. There are designated zones for that as well, in correspondence with the Department of Conservation and what they approve. But of course, that's going to give you a lot more options if you are in fact coming to explore the natural splendor of New Zealand. You can go on through hikes, and the wilderness camping facilities are fantastic, and the rules associated with wilderness camping are a little bit more lax in my opinion compared to freedom camping. So definitely do your research on those if that is something you are interested in. And because you're saving thousands of dollars as far as your initial rental price is concerned on that motorhome, now you have a lot more cash in your wallet. So if you're coming back from a hike and you really want to rent a very nice hotel for a few days to pamper yourself, well, you have a lot of extra cash floating around in that wallet. So that is an extra important consideration as far as I'm concerned, because it can really improve your experience overall, being able to, take full advantage of some of those incredible properties that are available, especially around the Wanaka area. Now, my final point, a stress-free experience. Needless to say, in New Zealand, we drive on the left side of the road. So if you're not a comfortable driver in the first place, you have to remember that you're driving always on the left, and most roads in New Zealand are 2 lanes, and those lanes can generally be quite narrow. Now, that's all fine and well if, say, we were driving in North America, where we can literally drive in a straight line for hundreds of kilometers, and that's groovy, not a big deal. Now, the geography in New Zealand is a little bit different. Sure, there are a few straight roads here and there, but for the vast majority of the roads you're going to be driving on, there's going to be hairpin turns, elevation gains, whether you're going up or down, adverse weather, whether it's rain or snow, depending on which season you happen to be going in. And as a result, if you're driving a very large truck and you're not a comfortable driver, as I just mentioned, it's going to make it for a far less fun experience. If you have a small, sportier car, for example, navigating those hairpin turns can be quite fun. And you have that peace of mind that you're not going to clip the side of a water runoff system and flip your car and then have to pay that enormous sum of money as far as your deposit and the extra insurance and all that stuff is concerned. Now, there is an even more interesting scenario in New Zealand, and that is 1-lane bridges. Now, I'm sure the government has done its cost-benefit analysis, and they have determined that traffic in those areas is not substantial enough to merit 2 lanes. I mean, come on. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not going to complain too much about that. It is what it is. But there are 1-lane bridges, and the way they work is you have signs at either end of the bridge. One has a large arrow, one has a small arrow. If you have the large arrow, you have the right of way. If you have the small arrow, you must wait for traffic to pass from the other side before you can commence in crossing said bridge. Not a big deal, right? It's like a stop sign system. However, some of those bridges have blind corners, or they're incredibly long bridges where you can't really see where other oncoming cars might be. They sometimes do have little side pockets where you can park if you do get in a head-on situation for those longer bridges. But again, if you're not a comfortable driver, and because these 1-lane bridges are also about as narrow as a bicycle lane, if you sideswipe your motorhome or anything like that, again, you can kiss your deposit goodbye. So just something to be aware of as far as a stress-free environment is concerned. If you have a smaller SUV, if you have a small car, a zippier car, you can actually enjoy some of those hairpin turns and just the driver's experience that you can really appreciate in New Zealand. And if you love driving, oh man, you are in for a treat. Now, these are the reasons why I recommend going with a smaller car and bringing your own tent. As always, I strongly recommend that you do your own research as far as the season that you want to come in, how many people are traveling with you, and what it is that you're trying to get out of your experience. If you're coming for the wine tours and the incredible food that is available in New Zealand, obviously your considerations are going to be slightly different, and your itinerary options are going to be slightly different as a result as well. So definitely take those types of things into consideration. But ultimately, if you're looking for an efficient, cost-effective way to explore nature, spend time in nature, of course, bringing your own tent and having a small vehicle that you can use to zip around the country and avoid weather in one part and gain a little bit of sunshine in another is going to be my option and my recommendation based on my experience in New Zealand. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.